building a winning culture. Building a winning culture, building an organization structure. We want to look into the setup or the mindset that is required, the thought processes that is required to outline, to set up, to build an organization, to build a structure, small or big, 1, 2, 3, 10, 100 persons, employees. How do you think about that?
Start with the vision. Because as the Bible said, without the vision, the people perish. But many times you start to build a structure. A structure has no value without a vision. So
start with the vision. I'm loving that. The Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. Therefore, if the people are perishing, it means that there is no vision.
yes.
Aren't we living in that type of environment now? Or I certainly feel that way, right?
You're right. Because as the saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there. So we first have to have a vision. And the vision have to be bigger than us and our time for it to make sense. The vision have to be audacious, bold, that it can attract people. First, their curiosity to say, is this real? Because people, go ahead.
Let's break it down. So step number 1, we start with a vision. I mean, what's a vision? And why vision?
A vision is a picture. As Aristotle, the old Greek philosopher, he says, the soul does not think without an image. So it is a deep image in your soul of something that you want to do or achieve, which is much bigger than your present environment and your time, and bigger than you. So the vision is that you want to do something bold, like what you had, Jamie, with this YouTube channel. You had a vision because it's a passion inside, something you want to birth, to realize, to give birth pains, to deliver.
I'm intrigued by what you just said. A vision is something that's bigger than yourself, and it's something that you want to give birth to feel birth pains.
Yes.
And that resonates with me, because if your vision doesn't facilitate or entails birth pain, is it the right vision for you? How do you think about that? How big should your vision be?
Your vision should be so big that many times it has to be seen as a relay. You can't run it in one leg, and maybe you can't do it alone. You have the vision and you run the first leg and you hand over to somebody else. Your vision sometimes goes beyond generations. It's a change, like what Martin Luther King says. I have a dream that one day, but that day he never lived to see it. But later we're able to realize his vision. Nelson Mandela had a vision that he'd be free. And he recognized that freedom was not a moment in time. It is a condition of the heart and the mind. So he was one of the most interesting part of his story was what he said after 27 years of being incarcerated when he was leaving prison. He said, I have to leave the pains behind. I have to leave what happens here and move on. Otherwise, I'll still be imprisoned.
That's
Bob
wonderful.
Marley said, free yourself from mental slavery.
That's slavery, right?
None but ourselves can free our mind. Yes.
Yes.
That's that picture. Go ahead. I'll leave it. I want to hear your views now.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm getting excited already. So if you're saying that if we're going to build a strong vision, a large part of our vision has to be based on faith. Because
yes,
our vision has to transcend both what we currently know and maybe what we are currently able to achieve within our lifetimes. And that's fascinating to me. I feel that my vision is certainly a work in progress. My vision is dynamic. Sometimes I fear that I don't understand well my vision. And it's something that I think about a lot, actually.
Yes.
What was your vision when you arrived at CMI at the time?
First of all, it was birth pains. I knew that I was there to be a part of something much bigger than me. It was a part of what God wants. And there's a scripture, if we can look at it quickly, it's from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. And I think Solomon had such a vision that the vision is what is going to keep you up at night. Just like this YouTube channel, Jamie, you and I would talk about it, but it was something heavy on your heart, in your spirit, that we had to do. It's a calling, it's something bigger than us. And it is in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11. And it says, yet God has made everything beautiful for his own time. When we are going through pains and it seems ugly, God has made it beautiful for his own time. Because the exciting part about it, not all experiences are beautiful. But we are called to fight in a boxing match. That when we go in the ring, they have declared that we are the undisputed champion. Can you imagine? Before the match starts, we are declared undisputed champion. So what we are going through is a replay. We are rehearsing something. So when we feel a bounce and a knockdown, remember it's not the end. The victory moment is coming. And that is something. And it is said in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. You want to go ahead first?
No, you continue, please.
It says, yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. The human heart is made in time, and eternity has to do with God. So there's a wrestling inside of us between eternity and time. Because the human heart is in time, but God has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, continue. Yes, go ahead.
It's very interesting that the second point that's coming out about a strong vision or a vision worth having is, number one, your vision must be based on faith. But number two, it must transcend time. So faith and time are two intrinsic components of a vision worth having. Yes. And we're starting with vision. Excellent stuff.
And the last part of the verse says, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So the vision is something that we are called, is something that pulls us, a passion. But it's so big that anytime we can see from beginning to end, it's no longer a vision. That could be just a nightmare. The vision must be bigger than us, right? You go
Right.
ahead,
So
Jamie. Let me hear you.
very, very interesting. So we're building a vision team. We're building a vision, guys. And remember, this is the first step when building a strong team, when you're placed in a leadership role and you are now moving into that leadership phase. We're all leaders in our own right. First, we start with the vision. And your vision must be based on faith. It simply means that you should not be able to understand, comprehend everything that is within your vision. 2, it needs to transcend time, whether it's your lifetime, the lifetime of the business, whatever it is, your vision must transcend time. And 3, your vision ought to be so big that you cannot understand or comprehend the entire process of the vision. Your vision must be a continuous story being told and a continuous work in progress. So it is exciting how important that a vision is towards building any good or great organization. And we're just identifying 3 small components of a good vision.
Yes.
Yes.
And as you said, the vision is a magnet. A good vision is a magnet. Because people are drawn to a vision. I always think that money follows ideas, not ideas follow money.
Right. Excellent.
Right. So the vision is attractive. People are drawn to a good vision. So the ability to stick to a vision, to lead with a vision, this is what is going to differentiate leaders who will win or leaders who will fail. Because the vision will be tested. It's in Joel, I think it says, write the vision down, make it plain. Though it tarries, it will surely come to pass.
Yes.
So vision will tarry, visions will be tested.
But it will surely come to pass.
That's correct.
You know, I for a brief period in time, I always thought that you first make the vision and then get people to be drawn to it. But probably that's not the best way to think about it. A good vision is like a magnet.
Yes.
People are drawn to it. It's interesting. It's something to think about. So moving along, after we've identified and formed the vision, where do we go from there?
Well, many times we plan without reality. The first reality is that the vision is going to attract opposition. If it's a good vision, it must attract opposition. Because a vision is not tested in a lab, it's tested in the real world. Things are changing, people are changing, and you can plan, you can write a plan, you can have all the money in the world, but if you cannot align people to that plan, it's just a daydream or a nightmare. So the most difficult part after you have the vision, right? The vision, you now have to sell that vision.
Okay, so the vision is like a magnet. So people are drawn to the vision. But not because people are drawn to the vision means that they'll be able to accept the vision as their own.
Yes.
So the next step is basically to solicit buy-in, solicit ownership. How do we do that? how do we solicit ownership?
Very good point. It comes through testing. You have to put fire to the vision. Just like gold. You refine gold with fire, not with honey. You have to burn out the dross. Because behind a vision, a good vision, has to be character. It have to be stick-to-itivity. It have to be that inner strength and belief when no one believes in you. There's a story in the Bible where David, King David, when he had to run from his son Absalom, who wanted to overthrow him.
Right.
And he went to live in a camp of the enemy, the Philistines, because he felt safer with the Philistines than in his own territory.
Right.
So there come a time when you have to go and live in the enemy's territory. And he took his men who were with him to go and fight for the Philistines against some other enemies. When they went, they said, we can't trust him because we're not sure if he will turn against us.
Right.
So after how many days they had to go back, broken-hearted that they did not get to fight. When they went back, the whole village was burnt, and their wives and children were gone. And it says that the men turned against David. And not only were going to stone him, but David have also lost his 2 wives and his children.
Right.
But his children, everybody was taken to everything his possession. But David had to, he said David had to what? Encourage himself in the Lord. So a vision will be tested by loneliness. And he had to encourage himself when there was no one around. And that's the extent to which visions will go. So visions shine under pressure. Visions shine by fire. So the first thing after you build this nice vision, it has to be placed in the fire.
Interesting. So we build this nice and wonderful vision. Now we need to get it out there and get it battle tested.
Yes.
Place it in the midst of all the mess and the fire.
Yes.
Get it out there and get all the rebuttals and get all the feedback you can. Put it out there. Peer reviews, whatever it is that can push against it, negativity, get your vision out there. Communicate it effectively. Yes. Communicate it with that passion and with that drive. Because it is in that process or that phase that you will understand whether you have a strong enough vision or not. Maybe it is that you need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe it is that that vision did not suit your purpose. Get your vision in the fire. The next step, where do we go from here? Where do we go? After we have built the vision, we put it out there to get it battle tested, and we are realizing now that this vision is where it ought to be. This suits my purpose. Where do we go from there?
All right. You first. The vision have to speak to you first as a leader. Because if the vision cannot speak to you, you will not win anyone. And one of the first things you learn are the 3 C's of friendship. The first one I said are called confidence. Like how I take you, Jamie. You're my confidant. These are very few in life. These are people who are with you and not with your cause. They'll be there for you. But you have to remember to feed your confidence. Otherwise, they will dry up. So your confidence are They are not about your cause. They don't care about your, not they don't care about your cause, but they care about you.
Right.
Then you have who you call now the constituents. That's it, yeah. The constituents are those who are for what you are for, but they are not with you. They look like confidants, but they are about your cause. So your vision is also going to attract constituents. And they are for your cause, but they look like confidants, but don't mistake them for confidants.
Mm.
You have to see them for who they are. They are with your cause, they will come on, and they will leave.
Right.
And that's part of the journey. So you have to understand and appreciate that you have constituents will come and they will go. Then you have comrade, yes. The comrades, they will come alongside to help you fight a mutual enemy. Right? They will help you to come alongside and fight a mutual enemy. These are not for you. They are not for your cause. They are merely against what you are against. You get the picture?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These people are against. So they will join up with you to fight somebody else who they think is a lesser enemy. And equally, they will go against you with somebody else after. So don't be fooled by your comrades. These are people who come alongside because they want to support you to fight against somebody who they are against. So you have this learning about relationships, about disappointment. Remember, Jesus chose 12 men. And within that 12 was a Judas. So it is important for us to recognize. What am I saying? I am saying that our vision has to be bigger than being personal. Because anytime we use our vision to react, we are minimizing our vision.
There's so much there to unpack. So much there to unpack. First, I would like to start with and kind of double click on the 3 C's. So the first one is confidant.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is
confident.
The second one, constituents.
And there are few in life.
And the third is a comrade.
Constituents.
The confidants are few in life. These are strong relationships that you probably have. And persons who are there for you and not necessarily your cause. In good times and bad times.
Right. In
the
good
constituents
times and bad times, yes.
are people who are there for your cause, but they come and go. Meaning that they're a part of the journey. And 3, the comrade comes along.
Comrades.
Because you have a common enemy. So the comrade comes along
not for your cause.
because they have an objective and a particular motive that they want to achieve, and you somehow fit into that box. So they come and join forces to achieve that. This is signaling to me that if your vision is based solely on your personal ideas and what you want to achieve, it's signaling to me that you're going to miss the next step or the step that will come, which is it requires a good strategy. Because if you are not aware enough and conscious of your own sort of mental structure, you will lose this balance somewhere along the journey. And I assume that it can be very dangerous to achieving or sort of achieving that vision or that the pursuit of that vision. You know, so it's fascinating to me
Yes.
those three C's and how, you know, life kind of build in each of them with a purpose. All three important, I assume, right?
Yes. And as you said, the next steps. You cannot move from your vision to strategy without learning forgiveness. My approach is totally unorthodox. I'm speaking from life experience. Because the greatest thing in leadership is forgiveness. Hurt is a must. Disappointment is a must. But you have to love beyond that. And I'm introducing an element that we often leave out of leadership, which is love and forgiveness. And those are the two critical components, because you cannot achieve a strategy through people without learning how to love and how to forgive. It's a heart transaction and not a head transaction.
That's interesting. It just dawned on me that, you know, the good book reminds us that in the most difficult moment, or one of the most difficult moments that Jesus faced, where he was allowed to, I believe, be judgmental, to cast judgments, he resorted to be forgiving. Lord, forgive them. I mean, because they do not what they have done. I mean, it's really that forgiving word, and we'll come back to it, because forgiveness is more selfish than what we presume, and guys, it is an entire episode, forgiveness. We are going to get there. We are going to get there.
Yes, indeed.
But
yes,
to
indeed.
introduce the element of love and forgiveness in leadership, that in itself also is a book. Love and forgiveness in leadership.
It is.
And we've just gotten the title. Make a note of that.
Yes, Jamie. Make a note of that. Yes, we'll certainly.
I'm making
we'll
a
put
note
that
as
for
we
next
speak.
book, Jamie. Yes. Because one point, we tend to look in a mechanical way about building an organization. And I want to replace the word organization with
like
orgasm. Because it's something alive. And when you deal with life, there is no prescription. It's about
You said,
winning hearts.
I think you said orgasm.
Because
Or
it's
not,
about
not
people.
organism.
Mhm.
All right. well,
Organism.
we can do it either ways. I that's another episode.
That's another episode too, Jamie.
Well, I like them both, right?
That's interesting, yes. Yeah, that's another episode. All right.
Right.
Keep it real. That's also a part of it too.
Yeah, you were saying.
Yes. So, it's something alive and not something mechanical. Because we tend to see look at a structure and you fit within the structure. But you have to remove structures in terms of the mind, but structures exist in the heart. You know that you have certain relational
behaviors,
levels, your behaviors, but you're allowed to think very wide. Your thinking is not put in a structure.
This is excellent.
I'm not sure.
Excellent. Because now I'm having to unlearn a process that I have in my mind, right? When we spoke about what we're going to discuss shortly, I mean, and I just want to point out that this is not rehearsed. We haven't had any discussion before, or I'm not seeing his notes, or he's not seeing mine. I don't have any notes, by the way. So I'm making notes as we go along. I'm having to unlearn, and I'm going to ring the bell,
too.
ding, 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 ding. But it's for me, and I'm going to share it. Replacing organizations with organisms, and understanding that it is a living creature, and that makes so much sense, right? Because the structure lives with one, and it requires us to kind of constantly be unlearning, relearning, change, adapt, model, develop, downsize, upscale. It's a fantastic way of thinking about an organization as an organism, and just the dynamic of the human element, the human behavior within an organization. It should be termed organism, or orgasm. I mean, however I want to call it. one of those two, right?
One of those two. Yes, you're right, because the issues facing organizations are so diverse. Because in the past, you had big organizations and small ones. The lanes were separated widely. But internet have now leveled the playing field. That a small company can go up against a big company, because technology creates that sort of leveling platform that gives people reach and depth. So if you're not, it's about how can you pivot, how can you respond. Because life is 90% of how you respond than what comes at you. The only thing we can choose is our response, but we cannot choose what comes at us. So our response gives us control.
Exactly.
And I say, it's like watching TV.
I'm loving that.
Don't hand the remote to your next door neighbor
to kind of
and expect that you're going to get your favorite movie.
How life is.
Your next door neighbor going to change the channel
so much
to what they
about
like.
how you handle what comes your way, how you play the cards that you're dealt. I mean, we can talk about looking at yourself as a victim or as an overcomer. And the saying says, don't pray for better seas or more favorable winds. Pray for better skills to adjust your sails. Because it is in your development, your willingness to unlearn and relearn, to rethink, to remove limitations, to climb and to rise above. to be willing to go back to the books and to learn. To learn from your mentors. To learn from people you look up to learn from mistakes and downfalls. To learn from the 3 C's as they come along. And as comrades come along and what they're able to teach you. To learn from the fire when you put your vision out there. And also to understand that as you progress, there will come a time when you need to pivot, to unlearn. And as you unlearn, remember that you are a living organism.
Wow.
And your industry is a living organism. Your organization is a living organism. And it's fluid. Change is pretty much the only constant. And if you can embrace that and live with that within your mind, then you are going to yield better results. You know, I am so grateful to you. Thank you for coming on today. It's been such a valuable discussion so far. I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. I have learned a lot. I've unlearned, relearned a lot. And I just want to say thank you so much. But we're not finished. We're not you know, it's.
But thank you too, Jamie, because you have an amazing mind.
Certainly very, very kind.
I enjoy the time with you and just listening and learning from you too.
Organism.
Also, I am unlearning and relearning too.
Right.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about organizations as an organism, and how we should think about if we are building a small business, for example, 5 employees. How should we think about that on a high level?
All right. Very good question. Very deep. The traditional approach is to think of organizational structure as 2 critical components. The first about workflow and about responsibility. But my experience have taught me
an effective organism.
Organism, right? I have to be careful what I say. An effective organism, right? Does not begin with workflow and responsibility. It begins with people. And people are, no matter how bold we seem, we're all tender at the core and we're vulnerable. So it starts with people. And real people who want to achieve great things, but recognize that we all have weaknesses. One of the most profound stories in the Bible is found in Genesis. I think you and I think looked at it once. Chapter 45, I think, with Joseph. I'm not sure if we did. Chapter 45, I think it's about verse 15. It talk about Joseph's tears and Joseph's kisses. Those are most effective than Joseph's shout.
That's awesome. Authority. I've never heard it expressed like that.
We win people.
We win people when we first become people. Now jot that down. Divine download, right?
I don't know where that came from, Jamie. I've never. I'm
sorry for the pause, but that just struck me to the core. we win people when we first become people. So in selling or communicating our vision, that V word, vulnerability, must be within the room, must be throughout your leadership pursuits. Be vulnerable. Become a person. We win people when we first become people. Well said. It's fascinating that it is a lot of our vulnerabilities, like Joseph, are not expressed with words, but it's expressed with strong actions that are almost intended or mainly used for a different reason. What do I mean by that? Normally, you cry tears when you are sad. But I can tell you that the best tears you've had are far less, but is when you're overjoyed. Because what you expect, and it's managing expectations, what you expect is somebody, when they're overjoyed, is to laugh. But when that person cries, those tears are priceless. It's not the normal use of it. So it's actions delivered under the circumstances or for which they are not normally intended. For kisses, right? Kisses is expressed as normally intimacy, right? However, when we kiss somebody, Joseph's kiss was not only a kiss of love, it was a kiss of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And it was not, it was really, it was a kiss to say, I love you and I've always loved you. But no, please know that I forgive you.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
It's wonderful how far and deep we have gotten. No, we started out with with an organism or orgasm.
I had no clue that we would have been here.
And look where we are now. We just want to slow down a little bit.
Orgasm.
And dive right into the quick fire questions. Quick fire questions. Tell me, what's been on your mind over the last week?
Yes.
Philosophy that's been on your mind over the last week.
The philosophy is, how do we change the narrative of how we do business? And what has been coming more and more to me is the whole importance of the human being, the people aspect, the humanness. That is what has been on my mind. I tried to start a few other books, but in the last 3 months, I'm still stuck at the blue ocean shift. I can't move, Jamie. I can't move because I keep rewinding and going back, because it has been coming plain in my mind why businesses failed, why they succeed. These things have been going through. And we miss the most important component, which is,
if you want to be successful at business, don't study business.
And that is the people
study
factor.
People.
And that is what determines the rise or fall of business.
Let's jot that down. If you want to be successful at business, don't study business.
Yes.
Study people.
That's profound statement, Jamie. Make a note of that one too.
That's what we need to do in business school, a study of people.
Yes, very important.
Fantastic. What have you been reading for the last week?
I said to you, I'm stuck in one book, and this has never happened. For a long time.
Whoa.
For 3 months now, I'm stuck in one book.
Whoa.
Despite,
Wonderful.
going through
Wonderful.
journal articles and so on.
I've read it a few times
But
myself.
I'm stuck
and
in the Blue Ocean Shift. I've read that book at least
I will
100
say
times.
this. I think it's
And
at
every
this
time
point
read
where
it,
I
there's
say
something
this.
different.
Look, a large part of why I think, how I think, and when I think, what I think, was because I had a great friend, a confidant, who taught me what to read, who said, before we have any discussions, go and read this book. And I'm saying, if you're out there and you're not reading, it's time to start. Reading changed my life, and it will change yours as well. I will suggest that if you're not familiar, start with the Bible, but read as much as you can. Get curious, get turned on. Get
Yes.
deep and involved emotionally with what you're studying and what you want to achieve. Connect with your own vision. Stir up your own emotions for what you believe in. What you believe in. Dive, investigate, invest the time, and consume it and let it consume you. I just want and hope that we could get more turned on by these ideas and this philosophy of learning and continuous development. Final point. Final quick fire question, sorry. Something that you could change. What would that be?
Something I could change. The only thing I can change is my response.
Wonderful. And an additional one.
change
What's your
anyone.
word? What's your
I
word?
cannot change situations and
That's on your
circumstances
mind.
that
A
can-
strong word. That's on your
But I
mind.
can change how I respond.
Fascinating. You know, thank you again.
Goes back to
it's been a
forgiveness.
wonderful time. Wonderful time. And each time I'm looking forward to it. And I had about, let me see, 3 questions that I wrote
Thank you. I enjoyed
So
it
much
as
for the
usual. I
notes,
look
right?
forward to it each time.
down. And I thought, I didn't really think much of it. And I said, look, it's been so wonderful when we just be vulnerable, when we open up ourselves to the different ideas and to what you might come with and what I and how I may respond. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
We are here, and we just want to thank you for
What
being
you
with
may
us.
come into.
It's the Undefined, Unlimit, Unlearn, Rethink show, the Unlearn show with Jamie and Fritz. Certainly, we hope that you have learned something today. Building an organization. Organizations, we defined it as a living organism. It has its own structure. It's constantly changing, constantly developing, and it's something that's very fluid. Number one, we must start with the vision. And your vision needs to transcend or be bigger than yourself. It needs to transcend generation, time, and it needs to be built on faith. Three small components that we identify from a vision, or that's necessary to be within your vision. Secondly, put your vision in the fire. Get it and set it in the midst of the fire. And let it be tested. Let it be exposed for its flaws, its weaknesses. And let that vision be molded into where it ought to be. And third, and I really want to close on this, that in leadership, we really want to introduce two critical areas of leadership. And those two critical areas of leadership are love and forgiveness. Now, as you go into the next week, months, and year, go in with love and forgiveness on the top of your chart. Because business fail mainly because of the mismanagement of people. Study people. Get turned on by them and their ideas. And if you have love and forgiveness at the top of your chart, forefront your organization, then you are more likely to be successful. Thanks for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. It's Jamie and Fritz with the Unlearn Show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, good. Thanks.